Welcome to Craig's Gun Channel. In March of 2021, Ruger announced their new Max 9 pistol chambered in 9mm. I've done a prior video where I went over an overview of the firearm and its features, so in today's video we're just going to take a look at how you field strip it. Let's go ahead and take a closer look. And as always the case, before working on any firearm, you need to make sure it is free and clear of all ammunition. The magazine release on the Ruger Max 9 is right there. You'd simply press in on that to release. And as we can see, the magazine is free and clear. Pull the slide back, see in the chamber area, and the chamber area is also free and clear. So we can take a look at the controls and features of the Ruger Max 9. The Ruger Max 9 is a single action trigger. It is a striker fired, recoil operated. Striker is in the slide here. The trigger does have a trigger safety to help prevent accidental depressing of the trigger, and also primarily to act as a prevention against the trigger accidentally pulling itself from inertia if the firearm were dropped. As I said, it does have the magazine release right here. The magazine release can be swapped to be on the other side to allow for left-handed operation. All other controls are just on the left side of the firearm. We do have the slide lock here. That can be manually operated by pushing up on it when you pull the slide back, or the magazine itself has a little shelf right there on the follower that will activate it internally to lock the slide back. And then to release the slide, you can either pull down, or when you put a new magazine in or take the magazine out, just as long as you disengage that little shelf, when you pull back on the slide, it will also release. It does have a protected fence around it that will help prevent against accidental activation when you're holding the firearm to fire it. It does have a safety. Now this model has the safety. They also have a Pro version which does not have the safety. The safety with the red dot, it means it's ready for fire. You would lift up on that, show the white dot, that means it's safe. That disengages the activation link between the trigger and the sear to prevent that from firing the weapon. It also locks the slide so you can't pull the slide back. Then you just sweep it down to activate it, ready to fire. It does have a drift adjustable rear sight and a fiber optic or tritium, so for night use, front sight. The slide is cut already for possible red dots. And that's pretty much it as far as the controls and features. It has the serrations both front and back to allow easy manipulation of the slide. So we'll go ahead and take a look at disassembly. Now it is a striker fired firearm, so the first step you would need to disengage the striker because the sear will actually prevent the slide from being able to be removed. So even though we just checked to make sure it's empty, you need to point it in a safe direction, pull the trigger to release that sear. One thing I wanted to point out also, there is no magazine interlock, so the firearm will fire whether the magazine's in it or not if it were loaded. It is even marked on the side of the gun. It says pistol will fire with magazine removed. And that's actually a feature I like in a self-defense firearm. It ensures that at least even if the magazine were removed for some reason, if you had a round chamber, you would still have a operable firearm. So once the striker is released, this little section right here is a gate that you would open, and right there is the disassembly pin. On the other side, you have a little cutout right there in the frame. So you would need to align the cutout in the frame on this side with that pin, and once it's in alignment, just poke something through on the other side, and that'll make the pin come out. Remove the pin, and the slide will just come off the top. We'll go ahead and take a look at the frame first. It is a polymer frame. It does have a metal internal frame that houses the fire control assembly. Right there is our sear. And this is the disconnector right here. When the slide goes back and forth, it disconnects the trigger from the sear to keep it in semi-automatic function. There's our ejector right there, which when the slide comes back with the round in the extractor, it's got the external extractor right there, this little metal section right there will hit the bottom of the cartridge, and that will kick it up and out of the top of the slide. This is as far as you would want to disassemble this. Any other disassembly should be done by a qualified gunsmith. At this point, you can get access to everything to wipe it down, clean it up. So you want to just basically clean it all up, scrub it down, a light coating of oil for lubrication and corrosion prevention. We have the slide now. It does have a captive dual nested spring assembly. So you would just need to, on the plunger, push forward on that slightly. So just push forward slightly and lift up, and it comes out. Then the barrel itself, you could lift up on it and up and out. And that's as far as you really need to disassemble the slide. You now have access to clean everything. This right here is our striker. That's what engages on that sear. And there's our extractor right there. The firing pin is right there. This right here, this little section, that's also a safety to prevent inadvertent discharge without the trigger being pulled. That would stop right there. It would stop the striker from being able to go forward unless you pull the trigger. When you pull the trigger, it would push up on that, which would then be able to allow the striker to go forward once the sear releases it. And then once it goes forward, the firing pin, of course, is right there. So this is as far as you would want to disassemble this. Any further disassembly, you should take it to a qualified gunsmith. At this point, you have access to clean everything, wipe it all down. There again, light coating of oil for lubrication and corrosion prevention. Reassembly is just the opposite. You'd put your barrel in first. It locks up. Yeah, I'll go ahead and show you that real quick. The lockup is actually achieved with the shoulder right here. It locks into the opening right there. So that's the barrel would be locked. That disassembly pin that goes right through here goes into this section right here. So when the slide goes back, the pin would go up this ramp, which would pull the barrel down and then allow the slide to go back. So once you have the barrel in place, put your recoil spring into the front pocket there. Push the rear plunger and put it into the saddle. The saddle on the barrel, it's right here. Then you align the grooves on the slide, well, grooves on the frame rather, with the grooves on the slide. And then pull the slide back to align the hole for the assembly pin. Drop the pin in, lift the gate, and then do a function check. And we're reassembled. I hope that this information is of value, and if you liked the video, I would ask that you hit the like button and subscribe if you want to continue to see more like this. I value your comments and feedback, and as always, until next week, stay safe.